Look, has being intimate with your spouse seemed like more of a job than a joy?
Ooh.
Or have you just lost interest in them and wondering if you can ever get it back? Well, we're going to talk about that and much more here on this episode of Couples Pursuit.
Couples Pursuit.
Hello, this is Vincent
And Valerie
Woodard. And on this episode of Couples Pursuit,
help. I have no interest in having sex with my spouse anymore.
Ooh.
What should I do?
you know what, babe? Ooh.
Not right now.
I know.
Not in the moment.
I know.
Just not anymore. Like never ever.
That's some of the questions we get.
Okay.
Look, we thank y'all so much for joining us here on Couples Pursuit. Our goal here is to give you the biblical principles to not only to pursue, but to maintain a successful marriage. So if you're new to our channel, we'd like to say welcome. And if you're returning, we'd like to say welcome back. Hey, do us a favor and hit that like button and share this video with someone that you think this topic could help.
Yeah.
So, babe, this person doesn't want to have sex, or they lost interest in sex. How is that from, I'm going to give my point of view.
Okay.
But how is that from a woman's point of view? Because we actually, unfortunately, do see that sometimes.
Yeah.
And ironically, maybe a little bit, I might not know when we first got into counseling, that we see it also from the men's point of view.
Yeah.
But from a woman's point of view, how does it resonate to you? What does this bring up?
Well, I think probably before we started counseling and before we had been married for some years, I think it would have brought up infidelity.
Wow.
But it's deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that comes to mind is, first, as a woman, I think, okay, what need is not being met?
Yeah.
And is intimacy transactional? Meaning, I'll do this if you do that.
Oh, gotcha.
Meaning, if he pleases me, then I'll give him sex. Or if she gives me sex, then I'll give her conditional. And then the second thing that comes up for me is emotion for the man, because I, like you, did not realize how much mental and emotional state affect the libido of a man.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize that. I was taught, or I learned, and I accepted that men were always ready and always
ready, and you know that they're always trying to chase behind the wives, and the wives never want it as much as they do, and there's a whole cliche. But unfortunately, there are a lot of married couples. I'm talking about in the married sense in this relationship, and that's how we teach from biblical principles. And you should not be having sex if you're not married. We learned that the hard way. If you believe in, if you believe in God. So we're gonna teach from those principles. But in a marital situation, in a relationship, the fact that a lot of couples actually go through this, and it's actually a taboo topic. Like, we go through this, and we don't talk about it to each other,
right?
And we definitely are not going to go talk to.
Men are not going to talk necessarily to another man about it.
Yeah, quote unquote, total strangers,
right?
Your counselor, your mentor, your pastor, your coach. Men, we just will not talk about it. So this is what this episode right here is about. It's about, if you're facing this situation, or you might know somebody that's close to you, or you just know somebody in general, look, share this video with someone that you think it could help. You pop it on your feed. You never know who might read it. And so we have some solutions we're going to talk about. We can't put everything into this video. It's a short video. That's why we urge people to book a call with us and to come to our websites, a lot of other free resources. But babe, this topic right here, we're going to try to help somebody tonight.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So, one solution we can try is to first, I urge men. Okay, I urge everybody, but men, we just don't do this. Is to check your health. Because before we get into, well, they act like this and they said that, and if they just stop doing this, before we get into all of those other symptoms, let's talk about a root issue, which is your connection, right? And what's hindering it. That's the root issue, is we're not getting connection, either physically, mentally, socially, emotionally. That's the root we got to deal with. And one thing that can hinder that is your health, your body, getting your hormones checked, getting your testosterone levels,
progesterone.
checked.
Yeah, because it's the issue that here's the thing, because I'm not able to, I say I don't want to.
Yeah.
And so instead of saying I don't feel the same, or I'm not aroused, or I'm not interested, and it doesn't mean that I don't love you, but my body doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. That is a huge reason for males and females to go get checked, because women, we go through this thing called menopause, and some women go through early menopause, and menopause causes the body to change. And even if the woman has the heart's desire, she has the romantic desire, sometimes her body is like, no, I don't want to.
What's that one where it's the pre-menopause, right before?
Perimenopause?
Yeah.
Perimenopause, I'm not sure how much that has an effect on a woman's libido. I don't know enough to say anything about it, but perimenopause is when a woman's cycle stops for a season and then it starts again. So it has to have some effect on her body, the hormones, all the things that come. But sometimes what happens with a woman is dryness. And so it can become painful. And sometimes there's pain in her female parts where it's not pleasurable. And if she doesn't have the knowledge about that, she doesn't understand that, she just thinks, ouch, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And she may not say that. She may not say what's going on, and then the husband feels rejected. And with the man, you can speak from the male perspective. Yeah,
well, I mean, just personal, getting personal with y'all. So I know there was a change in my body, especially when I got close to my 50s. That
you just barely made it over.
It's like I'm so old.
You act like you're so old.
But I'm just saying, I noticed a change in my body when we were together, and I'm just like, my mind is like, my body's like, bruh.
Nah.
I don't want to. Sleep show sound good.
Listen,
right
I'm tired.
So I had to go get me checked out and gotta find out my testosterone levels were on the lower side. And and there's some things that can help and to help you with that. But it's the knowing part actually was a relief.
Can I just pause right here and applause? You know how many men would not say that publicly. But here's the thing. It is a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
It's a natural occurrence. So many men experience that. Just like women, we change, men, they change. And we need to stop believing the lie, that, men are just always on it, always ready. Men have stress, men have tension, men have health issues, men have emotional issues, men have mental issues, and all of these things can take a toll on them and cause them not to want to feel like, or always be just like Johnny on the spot and ready. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you can do some things to change that, right?
Well, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I feel like a brand new man. The doctor gives you some, you get some new tools to work with.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, if y'all watching. Sorry, not sorry.
I feel like I got my mojo back.
There's help, and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. So that's my first solution: is to get yourself checked out. Check your health.
Yeah.
And to see what might be hindering from that standpoint.
Yeah.
And
if it's that.
Yeah. If it's that. Let's know what it is and what it isn't first.
Right.
As I always just assuming. Like, you just don't want me no more. You must be doing something else or whatever. And let's get to, first of all, How's your body? How's your health?
Yeah.
You know, high blood pressure and the medicine you could take, the interaction with the medicine that you can take. I'm spending some time on this because so often, also talking about counseling, is that the next thing we get when we ask questions about the relationship is like, they say, I don't know. I don't know why they act like that. I don't know why. I'm just like, well, it
must be this or it must be that. And you're making assumptions.
Yeah. Let's pause for a second.
Yeah.
I would think it would be beneficial for you to want to know why. Then we can deal with that issue as opposed to saying, I don't know, they just don't, and make up an issue. So my first solution is check your health. And second solution is to check your emotional safety. There are there are times when you can not be intimate. Intimacy is not just for the bedroom. That's what I'm trying to say is this. Intimacy is not just for the bedroom. So you just can't turn it on when you get to the bedroom and then spend the 90% of the time that you're not in the bedroom at odds with one another.
Right.
And thinking that it's going to work out good for you in the end. You know, connection has to be in context.
Explain that.
I mean, so if we're just having a good time, jovial good time, you know, we're just laughing or whatever, and I go to tickle you and I'm tickling you, you know, that's funny, you're laughing, whatever. But if you're upset with me about something,
not funny. Get off me.
And I go to tickle you.
No, thank you.
Well, it's the same tickle. I'm tickling the same spot.
Yeah.
But it's not the right time. Basically what I'm saying is that she has to be in a mood, or he has to be in a mood to be intimate. And so often we neglect that mood, and so now we're kind of like at odds with one another. We're wondering, I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know why they acting like that. And just because the person doesn't feel safe, don't feel secure in this moment right here. But then you want me to go into the bedroom and swing from the chandelier. You know,
and it's like, nope.
No.
You know, and even if there's a desire, the stalemate that comes.
Oh, chandelier in the bedroom. I don't.
It's not our business. It's not if you can have it if you want it. It's not our business. Maybe they live in a mansion. The bedroom is really not our business.
Okay, I just
so even if you want to, for a woman in particular, we tend to push down our emotions, and we will, in general, not every woman will be intimate with our husband.
Yeah.
And you know, not talk about it. You know, just not enjoy it, maybe, and disconnect and be disconnected. Some men will pick up on that. Some men will not. Yeah. And what happens is when the man doesn't pick up on the disconnect, the woman feels like he don't even see me.
Yeah.
You don't even know I ain't even really here. I'm just a body to you. I'm just a piece of meat. You know?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate we ignore all the cues along the way to, you know, intimacy that leads to romantic. Okay, it leads to sex. Hope they don't ban me on Facebook. Intercourse. With that, we know all the other stages, like, you know, being concerned about your day, being concerned about, you know, being kind, being nice, you know, wondering, you know, how you actually doing as a person.
Right.
Like being friends first, like those things.
Hello, that's important.
It's all those things that would have, when y'all first met, and all that whole transaction, you know, before you say, you know what, I think I love this person. Like, we should continue to stay on that path right there.
Of being concerned about one another's well-being.
Oh, how are you doing? Really, I want to know. It's not just I should ask you, or if I don't ask you, you're going to think I don't care about you. But no, really, how are you today? How are you doing?
Yeah, and I'd like to add sometimes the assumption that the man is the man and he carries a lot of the weight, or oftentimes carries a lot of the weight. When he comes home, he doesn't want to have to always carry all the weight.
Oh, that's good. Where did you get that?
How you doing?
Flesh and blood. flesh and blood did not reveal that.
He doesn't want to have to answer every question and solve every problem. Sometimes he just wants to just relax and relate and release. If you know what I mean.
We didn't talk about that.
We got
boy, that is good.
Where's that? Where did that come from? A different word. Relax, relate, release.
Oh, no.
Anyway, Cosby Show. No, it was a different word. Anyway, I'm telling my age. So a man needs a soft place to lay.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's more than about the performance, you know, the stress and the pressure of if he has a high powered position, if he has to make lots of decisions, if he is in a supervisory position where everybody's coming to him, if he's carrying a load, if he works more than one job, if, you know, all the things, or if the one job that he has is very stressful, then sometimes the demand that's made on him at work plus the demand that is made on him at home is a lot to carry. And he needs somewhere to unload his emotional, you know, expression. Yeah,
and it's not that we're shying away from being, you know, the rock. And hear some women saying, well, dude, that's the card you were dealt with. You're the man, you're the lead, you're supposed to handle all this. I don't think what my wife is saying,
no.
I know she's not saying that we're trying to shy away from our
that you should
responsibility.
Feel pity for him.
No, we're not. What she's saying is that you're human. Your husband is human. And you know, it's like that. It's like that statue of the man that's holding the world up, you know, all the time. Who's going to take the world for a second? Somebody help him hold it at least.
I need to go to the bathroom, get something to eat. Somebody help me out.
I think that's what we're saying. And I love that, baby. But like I said, we didn't even talk about that. That was good. That was good. I think a lot of people need to hear that. I think a lot of women, that will help a lot of women in their relationship. And I think a lot of men, you know, y'all let me know if did it hit home with me. I love that right there. You know, the Ephesians 5:28 and 29, it tells us, he who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh. And I think that's a couple, is that if I love my wife and my wife loves me, that so I shouldn't be like, well, that's on you. Because we do that, and I'm saying that because I've done that. It's like, that's your burden to carry. I'm going to play video games or whatever. Or what? I'm just. It's always like, okay, well, I've done my part. I said, Lord, gave you a hug. I went to work, came home, and I done my 50%. That's what I'm saying right there. And it's not that. If your spouse is hurting, have cares, you should care enough for them that want to help them, want to step in, to want to, I heard somebody say that, like, jump in this with me. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm going through something. Don't just give me the surface. Okay, well, baby, just let me know if there's anything I can do. Jump in here with me. Oh, you need your foot rub. Oh, you need your back rub. You need to be hugged. You need to be, you know, all those things. Because
you need
once we're talking about, you need a minute. Once we're talking about, you know, being intimate and what's hindering that intimacy. But there's stages or levels to this.
Yeah, understanding goes a long way. And when you know that someone has your back, like right now, I mean, we're best friends. And intimacy was never a problem for us, so to speak. We both, you know, our love language is physical touch. And so we never really, we've had some struggles in that area, but we've always had a desire for one another. I'll say that. And, you know, it's important that you address where you are. And how you feel. But what happens when you notice your partner is not, you know, responding to you, doesn't have desire, and you approach them and ask them what's wrong, and they tell you nothing.
And that part right there. I'm sorry. You finished.
I was finished.
I'm saying that part right there is that's where insert counseling, couples pursuit counseling, because we meet couples at that point right there so much. Like I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what. And I'm just like, okay, let's take a little minute to unravel this situation right here and try to find out what is going on. And that leads us to our third point. Our third point is to address past hurts. And this is the part people, might say they want counseling for, because it's kind of hard for them to navigate it, especially if they don't have any expertise in this area. To understand, okay, so I know sometimes when I touch you in a certain spot, you flinch, or you don't want me to touch you, or you draw back, or you jump, or whatever, like, instead of saying you just don't want me to touch you. Like, baby,
what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with you? What's going through your mind? Why does it generate that response? Because it can be easy to think that it's a rejection of you, but I unfortunately know several women who have had traumatic. Well, I know a few men also who have had traumatic experiences surrounding sexuality, when they were children or adults, have been raped or molested or something like that, and they haven't recovered emotionally. Like, they may have healed physically from the wounds or the scarring or, from that, but they haven't emotionally recovered. And so there are certain triggers, the way that someone might touch you or grab you. If someone is rough or insensitive, violent, uses crass or foul language, during times of intimacy. For some people, that's normal. But it is my opinion that in a loving relationship, that's not normal. To call each other's names and to do things that would cause pain or, that kind of stuff. It really, I think, stems from the abuse of sexuality.
That's true. Yeah. There's a book called, I think it's by Dr. Bessel 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗫, something like that. Dr. Bessel. We're going to go with that, Bessel. And it's a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Ooh.
And in this book, he talks about, it's mainly how we refer this to PTSD, but it's in your own space. Like, we refer to PTSD like only people that went to war or been in battle and fighting or whatever. It talks about we suffer from PTSD from situations that happen in our past that in our mind we've moved on from. In our mind, we've like, okay, I'm not in that place anymore. I've moved on, but the body kept the score. The body's like, nope, I still don't want nobody to touch me there. When somebody comes and approach you like that, the mind be like, hey, but the body's like, nope. The body is like, you remember last time somebody came,
or the first
time,
yeah,
that's it right there. Remember the first time somebody came. So the body is not so easy to forget what you might have moved past. Yeah. And that book does a great job. It says a lot of other stuff, but it does
The Body Keeps the Score, brain. Okay, yeah. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk.
Okay.
It's 3 words: Van, VANDER, second word, and then KOLK. If you're interested in that. But that is very true. And just as a moment of transparency, very early in our relationship, we had a little breakup right around Valentine's Day because love language is physical touch. And I was in a space where I didn't want to be touched, and he didn't understand. He took it personal. And I had to understand where it was coming from in order to relate to him where it was coming from, that it didn't have anything to do with him. Because unfortunately, I had been abused a few times as a child.
Yeah. And
I need to be in control of my own body. I need to give you permission. Now it's no problem. He could put his hands on me at any time. But, I just... mentally, emotionally, I wasn't as healed as I am now.
Yeah.
And so there were moments when I just I felt vulnerable, and it wasn't about my love for him, but it was what I was saying before is I know some people who still live in that space, who've been married for years and years, and they still don't have a level of comfort with being intimate with their spouse. That is heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Because intimacy, physical intimacy is a gift.
Yes.
And it's the gift that was given by God to man and wife. And so for that to be under attack, for man and woman not to enjoy that, it puts such a deficit. And things do happen, where people are injured, they might not be able to, to perform in a certain way. And, but that's the beauty of love and relationship, because you can find ways to please one another, to show expression, to express love, be patient with one another when you're going through things like medical things that might be somewhat limiting and, things like that. But to just decide, I don't want to and I'm not going to, is not reasonable, and it's not safe.
Well, it's not going to be beneficial to your marriage.
No.
And I would say I would like to get to a point that you at least know why you don't.
Yeah.
Because the feelings are just feelings. They're just here to guide us. Sometimes, and really, I'm not saying this if you're in an abusive relationship or nothing, but sometimes feeling and they invoke other feelings. Like, so when if you're in a spouse or in a good place, but we're busy. We're busy. It's not like y'all arguing, fussing, fighting. Y'all just busy. And you don't think you have time to sex, or you might not be in what we quote unquote in the mood. Sometimes just the first feeling of touching, hugging, caressing, kissing,
making eye contact,
all those things like that can lead to the other feeling of holding a little longer, rubbing, going far as I can, but I'm just without saying some words. Yes. And then foreplay,
to intimacy.
And then those feelings can get you more in the mood the more you keep going. So I'm saying, don't just give up because at that moment you or I just got through washing dishes, so I don't feel like it. Well, it's been 2 weeks. 2 months.
We're going to have dishes every day. We're going to eat every day. We're going to have dishes every day.
Let's try to connect with each other.
Yeah.
We talk about those things in our counseling sessions. Try to connect, do things to
create connection.
Create connection.
Tell them about the 𝗓𝗘.
The 𝗓𝗘.
S is for spiritual connection.
Yes.
That's where you spend time. In your faith, if you have faith, you spend time praying together, reading together, praying for one another. And then you have recreation. You spend time, P comes next. Physical. Then you spend time with the intimacy, doing things to, you caress, you touch, you do the physical part. And then there's an I. It's the actual intimacy, right?
Yeah. I was like, you gonna say it?
Yeah, okay. The actual, I ain't scared. The actual intimacy. And so that's the intercourse, the act of making love. And then there's the R, which is recreational. And that's the having fun, do something to make you laugh, something he likes, something she likes, do something you don't like that he likes or she likes, and enjoy one another, find something to do together. And then you have the E, which is emotional intimacy, where you share your feelings, your thoughts, your desires, those things that all lead to connection. Those are all types of connection that will rekindle the flames when things kind of get run of the mill, when you're worn out, when you're tired, and you just have to remember that this person is not your old pair of shoes.
They're not. And like I said, going back to the point of when some things might have hurt you, somebody might have touched you, some situation impacted you so much so that you don't really want to be intimate with someone, but you want to be married and you want to have a relationship, but you're trying to guard certain parts because those parts have not quite healed. I love how in Psalm 147 verse 3 says, he heals, talking about God, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So let's start with let's pray for that thing. Like, God, I really want to be intimate with my spouse. This area, this you know what happened. I've not healed from it, and even though my mind wants to move forward, my body is like, no. Heal my heart, Lord. I need your help. And then, start working towards reconciliation with your spouse. That could involve counseling. That could involve just a great long walk with them and talking,
being vulnerable, like really sharing. And especially for men who have been abused or mistreated, physically, sexually, it's hard to admit. It's kind of romanticized when a woman does it. It's like, oh, older woman, whatever. It's not any better. But if a man has violated a man, that is a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing for them to even voice themselves. And so much less telling you, they will feel, they might feel like less of a man, or feel like they're going to be viewed as less of a man, or they might be viewed as weak or soft or whatever. And maybe the reminder, like I talked about triggers before, there's a function of the brain. You have these different parts. It's like the hippocampus and, the medulla and all of that. But it's like the section of the brain, I think it's in the hippocampus, where is the fight or flight exists. And so where that fight or flight exists, for a person who has been mistreated, abused, and haven't healed from it, it could be extensive. The abuse or mistreatment could have been ongoing, or it could have been, cyclical, where it just happened from time to time, but over time. It could have been for years consistently. That's what I mean when I say ongoing. Or it could have been a series of times, or it could have been one time. But if that person hasn't healed from that, then they are still in that fight or flight. Fight or flight is meant for the moment. Fight or flight is meant for action right now. It is not meant for you to live that way. So that sometimes mentally, biochemically, I learned this from people who study this and teach about this, like licensed clinical therapists have shared this information with me when I used to work in the human trafficking prevention field. The person gets stuck right there in fight or flight. And so their actions seem irrational to you, but they are in protection mode. So until they learn that, oh, I'm safe. It's logical to say I was safe with him. But I was in a moment where, don't touch me.
And also, so in fight or flight mode, all resources are directed to whatever you need to protect. So all resources directed to energy to run. If you need to run, all energy directed towards you, like covering up or you withdrawing or keeping yourself safe. I'm talking about all energy. So there's even energy that we use to remember certain things, even energy that we use to speak and talk. Like sometimes people say they were so shocked they couldn't talk because they're in the fight or flight mode, that is their energy is directed towards whatever they need to go. And sometimes it took energy from your ability to talk. What I'm saying is that's why sometimes people don't remember clearly what happened in those situations where they might have been abused when they was little or whatever, or even older, because that energy was withdrawn from the fact that you even remembering about it, because you use so much energy just to stay safe. And that's why you wondering why you act like this. I don't know, because you have to think a little harder, because you withdrew the energy to remember. You withdrew the energy to talk about, to speak about it. All your focus was on protecting yourself at the moment. So something you have to sit and think about it really hard and try to bring back to remembrance. Like, why don't I like my spouse
to be touched? What? And I want to say that you were right. The word I was searching for was the amygdala.
There you go.
That's the word. And so the part of the brain primarily responsible for fight or flight response is the amygdala. When it senses danger, it triggers the release of stress hormones, preparing the body to either fight or flee. And the function, it involves the processing of the emotions, particularly fear, and is one of the first parts of the brain to react to a perceived threat. So if you're stuck in fight or flight mode, then you're stuck in the mode to perceive threat. So like you're looking for it, you're vigilant, you're watching out for it, and your spouse is likely not the person who is putting you in harm's way, in danger, but you respond to them that way. And so stress hormone release, this communication between the amygdala and the hypothalamus leads to the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol that prepare the body for action or reaction. And since I threw out the word hypothalamus, I'll say what that means as well. When the amygdala detects danger, it sends signals to the hypothalamus, which acts as a command center to initiate the physiological changes associated with the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
How the body responds.
Yeah. So once again, we're talking about why don't you have interest in sex? Why don't you want to be intimate with your spouse? And you're asking for help, like what should I do? We gave you 3 solutions. Hopefully this helped. One, we asked you, just check your health. Yeah. Let's go to the doctor and let's find out physical, what's my limitations, or if there are any, and what can, what can be done. What can I do? Do you need to exercise more? Do we need to change our medications? Do we not interact different medications? So yeah, let's get with the printout. My wife, she wants me to stay healthy. And so I go to the doctor and the doctor's telling me this stuff. And I say, ma'am, could you could you print this out, write this down for my wife? Because she's going to ask me. She said, I don't really know. Most wives do. Yeah. And so she gave me a printout. She already had a printout ready for me to take home. I say all that to say, I want to know, let's know what's going on with your body. That's number 1, check your health. 2 is create emotional safety in your relationship. Your marriage should be a safe space. Yes. And so when it's not, that's another thing you can do is let's work on creating that to be a safe space. And we're going to have issues and we're going to come home. Sometimes we're going to talk about those issues to our spouse or whatever, but it's not a time to be like, well, you need to man up. You need to suck it up. Oh, we got issues here. So-and-so need braces. The car broke down. It's like, wow, there's nowhere.
Is there no room for me?
There's no room. So create a safe space.
Yeah. That
was number 3. And number 2, that was number 2. Number 3 is to address past hurts. To actually, let's deep down, take a deep dive into why, once we get the physical limitations are worked out, why don't I want to be touched? Why do I not desire intimacy? Do I not desire sex? And if so, when did that start? Have I always been that way, or did it start at a certain time? And what time was that? You know what I'm saying? Let's address those past hurts. And I think that there's we talk about, and I started with this from the Bible, is that we talk about there's 5 ways that you can. I think a lot of marriage issues are just symptoms of not dealing with 5 root issues. And 5 root issues is to say, first of all, recognize your marriage is the covenant. It's not just a contract. It's not just you do your 50-50 part. You do your 50 part, I do my 50 part, and we meet somewhere in the middle. And it's not that your marriage is a covenant. This is flesh. This is bone of your bone and flesh of your flesh. Both of you. Your marriage is a covenant. The second one is that it takes commitment. Yeah. I'm joking with my wife now that if she ever leaves me, I'm going with her. I'm committed. And
he used to say he always had divorce in his front pocket.
Oh yeah, that's how it was.
It was like if it don't work out,
yeah.
I got it. I never knew that, but now his perspective has changed.
Yeah, it's commitment. Be committed.
Yeah, stick to it.
And that involves working past those trust issues that you might have, working past those issues. Well, you know what? I'm not really sold out for this relationship. First of all, let's address that. Commitment issues. We talk about those things. Also, the third one is communication. Now, a lot of people talk, but they don't talk effectively.
They don't communicate.
They don't communicate effectively. Yeah. And we talk about those things. It's a root issue. You have to deal with the communication and why there's lack of it, or why is it not being understood correctly. Yeah. And the fourth one is connection. That's kind of what we're talking about tonight. Is that you're thinking, okay, I'm not intimate, I don't have no interest in sex, but that actually just a symptom
of something
else.
Is
your connection has been broken. Where is it broken at? How did it get broken? How can we repair it?
Yeah.
And our fifth one is calibration. We have values. I have things that I bring to a relationship. My wife has things that she brings to a relationship. And where they overlap in the middle, I love the fact that we can say, you know what, how do we see ourselves together in a relationship? And then when we're out of that space, where they overlap, where we say this is where we want to be, when they're out of that space, at least we know something's off track. Something is not right. We shoot for center respect. We want to go back to the center. We want to bring our relationship back to calibration and recalibration. It's like a car, you're driving it and you notice your car starting to, veer off the road. Really easy.
Out of alignment.
What you do when that happens? You go get an alignment check. Or you remember some new tires. Same thing here.
Or check your eyes. It might be you, not the car.
We talk about those things in this book that we have, 5 Marriage Mandates.
Yeah.
A story about biblical principles to help anyone overcome any marital challenge. So we urge you, the link will be in the description down low, or just go to our website if you listen to this on our podcast at www.5marriagemandates.com.
I want to add one thing before we pray out tonight. And that is when you consider, the topic, help, I have no interest in having sex with my spouse anymore. What should I do? You may be the person who doesn't have the interest, or you may be the person that your spouse has no interest in. The evaluation needs to be mental, physical, spiritual, medical. Look at all those things. Like, what is the issue? Is it in the mind? Is it in the heart? Is it in the body? And we talked about that. We talked around that, but I wanted to say specifically, look at it. Think about that, whether you're on one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum, and then be willing to be vulnerable and address those issues, because sometimes the issue is that a person has been cheated on and they don't feel, we didn't even touch that, but I know we can't close this out without talking about that. Sometimes the person, it's a trust issue. Yeah. Like where my heart and my trust have been violated. And so now I'm done. I don't want to, but it's not realistic to think that you can live in a marriage like that. And so we just want to leave you with prayer tonight. Father, I just thank you in the name of Jesus that, Lord, everyone who is listening to this topic tonight, Lord, I pray that they would turn their hearts and turn their minds towards you, that they would receive healing, those who have been wounded physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually. I ask, oh God, that you would heal them from their wounds, God, that they would not be deprived of the gift of physical intimacy with their spouse, and that they would not deprive their spouse, that they would not give the enemy any room to come in between their marriage, that they would not allow a situation where their spouse could necessarily be vulnerable to, falling prey to other devices, whether that be magazines, or I don't even know if people buy magazines anymore, but pornography, or to the wiles of another woman or another man because of a lack of intimacy. It's not an excuse to cheat, to go outside of your marriage, but it is oftentimes the cause, because there's a lack of intimacy between the husband and the wife. And so, God, I just pray that they come together, that they talk to you, that they talk to one another, and that they seek healing, they seek counseling, wisdom, and guidance, and that they have the strength to reveal what's going on with them so that they can mend, and that they will not fall prey to the enemy's devices, and that they would embrace you and what you have set before them in covenant, that they will have better commitment to one another, that they will have better communication with one another, better connection with one another. And God, that they would always go back and continually recalibrate and bring their marriage and their relationship back to the center, and that center be rooted and grounded in you. And I pray, God, that you would bless them, that you would keep them, that you make your face shine upon them. Lord, be gracious to them. Lift up your countenance towards them. Give them peace. And as always, keep them from all hurt, harm, danger, sickness, disease, and virus. We thank you for doing it all in Jesus' name. Thank you for being with us tonight. And we'll see you again next time on Couples Pursuit Live.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of Couples Pursuit Live. If you enjoyed this video, here's another one we think you'll like.